Think gadget reviews, news, and all about it.
BlackBerry KeyOne hands-on review. 1. The first handset made in partnership with Chinese manufacturer TCL, the KeyOne, formerly known by the codename Mercury, has almost everything a BlackBerry addict would want from a phone in 2017. That means a hardware keyboard, premium build, decent specs and Android 7 rather than BlackBerry's own OS. I had a play around with it at MWC 2017, and came away liking what I saw. 2. It's all about the keyboard. As its name might suggest, the most notable thing about the KeyOne is its hardware keyboard. It shouldn't really be news that it has one, surely a BlackBerry's defining feature is its keyboard, but then again, BlackBerry's released several phones recently without one. Anyway, it returns here, and for those of you that crave a physical keyboard, it'll be a delight. It's not exactly spacious, I did sometimes end up pressing two keys at once, but it's big enough that I think I'd get used to it, and the keys themselves have a nice clickiness to them. It's somehow more satisfying than using a touchscreen, whereas I'd never want to write a 2,000-word review on an iPhone. On a BlackBerry it might be possible. 3. The pros and cons of a 3:2 screen. The keyboard defines the KeyOne to the extent that the screen has to be a weird shape to accommodate it. Yes, in order to fit in a full QWERTY without making the phone about a foot long, TCL had to squash down the display. As a result, it has an odd 1620 by 1080 resolution and 3:2 aspect ratio. This has both good and bad consequences. On the plus side, web pages and apps look great when you're typing in them. The KeyOne's physical keyboard takes up less room than the pop-up ones you get on solely touchscreen phones, meaning less of the page gets obscured by the keys. 4. A nice bit of kit. The KeyOne's build really impressed me. It feels sturdy, thanks to the metal frame, but surprisingly light with it. The dimpled back serves two purposes: it feels nice in the hand, but also gives you a bit more grip. It's quite thick compared to most modern flagships, but not so much that it's unwieldy. On the right side of the phone there's a volume rocker plus what you expect to be the power button, but which is actually the KeyOne's customizable convenience key. You can set this to do almost anything, such as mute the volume, or dial a specific person. It falls nicely under the thumb when you hold the phone, but whether it's really needed is a different matter, especially given how many shortcuts you get via the keyboard. I also know I'd find myself pressing it by accident when I meant to press the power button, which instead sits on the left-hand side of the device. 5. Software, the best of both worlds. The other thing businessy types will like here is the OS. They'll like the fact that it runs Android 7.1 and that they'll be able to download all the apps Samsung or LG owners can, and they'll also like the fact that the KeyOne includes the BlackBerry Hub messaging system and tech security software. I wasn't able to really put either of these to the test. A launch event isn't really the place to be downloading potentially unsafe apps or setting up dozens of different email accounts. However, we've tested these features before in the BlackBerry Priv and Tech 50 phones, and generally found them to be nice additions. 6. This phone should take a pretty picture. TCL has done the sensible thing with the KeyOne's camera, and kitted it out with a tried and tested sensor from another phone. The sensor is the Sony IMX378, and as I'm sure you all know from its name alone, it's the one you'd find inside the Google Pixel. This is a good thing, because the Pixel takes very nice photos, and the KeyOne therefore should too. You get 12 MP to play with, plus speedy phase detection autofocus. Round the front there's an 8 MP camera which should come in handy for video conferencing or snapping cheeky selfies when the boss isn't looking. 7. BlackBerry KeyOne initial verdict. Outside of those features, the KeyOne is an upper mid-range Android. You get a Qualcomm Snapdragon 625 processor inside it, which is smack bang in the middle of the range and optimized for battery life rather than speed. You get 3 GB of RAM and 32 GB of built-in storage, plus up to 2 TB more via microSD. And you get a big 3505 mAh battery with fast charging. Its price, however, is closer to the top end of things. £499 makes it more expensive than all but the very flagship devices. 8. For that reason, I can't see anyone outside of a BlackBerry devotee being swayed by it. It's a really nice phone in lots of ways, with a lovely build and plenty of sensible features, but whether you'd get one over an iPhone or a Samsung Galaxy S7 would depend almost entirely on whether you wanted that keyboard. If that sounds like you, then you're probably going to love the KeyOne. We'll have a full review as soon as we can, and don't forget to keep up with all of our MWC 2017 coverage here.